Hello and welcome to Gyroscorpic Sports. I am your host, Red, and I am here with this podcast of my two favorite Beyblade enthusiasts, and here to talk about Beyblade.
Enthusiast is a way to put it.
Enthusiast is indeed a way to put it. We have been talking. Well, here, we is a stretch. I am in
One of
participant.
us.
Well, I am in a group chat with these fellows about talking about Beyblade nonstop for the past maybe even year long plus
Oh, years.
years. And I think it's about time we start a podcast. And here it is, Gyroscorpic Sports. My name is Red. I am a plastics enjoyer, plastic gen. My favorite Beyblade is Gaia Dragoon, and yeah, I don't really know much about Beyblade to the extent of these guys, but I'm always open to new stuff and the toy hobby Annie stuff. And yeah, and let me introduce to you my two friends. We'll go with Nattthew.
Hello, I am Nattthew. That's with three T's. And then, so I started Beyblade around like 2009 when I was a little baby 2-year-old. I was playing with my friends. They had Beyblades, and I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" So then I joined them, and then I didn't get my first Beyblade until like a little while after that. It was my first Beyblade. I remembered it was Galaxy Pegasus, a
Oh
Hasbro
my
Metal Masters
god.
Galaxy Pegasus. But nowadays I'm a Malphite hater.
Oh my
I love Burst. I'm a Burst baby. My favorite Beyblade is from Burst. It is Jet Wyvern. It's so cool.
He loves Jet Wyvern with a passion. All he talks about is Jet
Ew.
Wyvern.
Jet Wyvern.
And we have the other friend, Nee.
Yes, I am Nee, otherwise dead named as Neo, from the World Beyblade Organization. An unfortunate name that I have to live with now. But
Yeah,
I'm a much sillier guy than I was as a teenager. So now I go by Nee. Um, I have I have been in the goop since I was 3 years old technically, because my as a baby at the ripe age of 3, I was dragged through Costco, and my dad and his friend were shopping at Costco with my mom as well, and they saw a Beyblade set which had two Beyblades, Drasil F and Night Dronzer, with a giant stadium in a value set, and they bought it for me, air quotes, and then they built the Beyblades and spun them, according to my mom, one time, and then it was just put away. So I had plastic Gen Beyblades since I was literally an infant who did not know how to make or do anything with them, and I was never given access, and I just knew that I owned them, and I would scrounge for the pieces as I watched Jetix reruns of the original Beyblade cartoon as a child. And then when Metal Fusion dropped in 2010, I was there since the start, and my mom was very, very happy that she didn't have to buy me a stadium because I already owned one. And then that turned into thousands and thousands of dollars that I asked her to buy me Beyblades for over the next few years. Um, and I still do that to this day with my own money. And it's an unfortunate rabbit hole, but the hobby is pretty healthy for me. So I
Get some
would say that
personality.
I'm overall happy. Overall.
Yeah. So we all have different semblance of personal connection to Beyblade. Some more than others. And yeah. And I think we came together to talk about a very interesting topic. It is a topic that I don't know really much about, honestly. And it's about defense Beyblades. And what exactly about defense Beyblades were you talking about today?
Are they real? We're trying to discern if they are real or not. So
Whether
I
if
think
they are real.
before we start looking at the individual Beyblades here, Red, I want to know,
Yes.
what do you think makes a Beyblade defensive before we
What
actually get
makes a
into it?
defensive Beyblade? Okay, well, let's.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't play Beyblade. To let people know, I don't play Beyblade competitive or anything like that. I just casually collect them if it just interests me. So I'm a very casual fan. But how I interpret what a defensive Beyblade should be is a Beyblade that should be able to like eat hits, essentially, as what defense entails. I mean, maybe more resistant to being knocked or anything like that in that semblance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is essentially what a defense type's goal. That's what it wants to do.
Yeah.
But it also typically comes at the side effect of having less stamina. So it'll beat out attack types, but it'll just lose to stamina types that can spin longer than it.
Yeah. That's what it should be.
That is what it should be.
But clearly, it is not.
So yeah, in the type triangle, it is. However, Beyblade types are often what they give you, what they sell you, is not what they actually do, which is kind of where we're at right now currently with X. So I thought it would be an interesting topic to go through all of the defense type Beyblades that have been released.
Yeah.
So we can see the evolution of what Takara and then Takara Tomy considered a defense Beyblade, and if it actually applies in real life once you actually get that product in hand.
Yes, and like Niebert said, we have a whole list of the stock defense types, not what's considered competitively a defense type, just what Takara Tomy or Hasbro consider to be a defense type here, and we're going to be looking at each of them and determining do they actually work as defense types, or do they do something else?
Yes, these schmucks made this spreadsheet so we can go through it in such a neat manner and through all the gens of what is classified as a defense Beyblade.
So, and Red, do you just want to get started with our first one then?
Of course. So we're gonna look at Bakushino Mold 1. Is that correct?
Let's look at Bakushino, the first link first.
Before you get like really into it, I want you to note on the left I have all the release numbers.
Ah, yes, right
and
here.
You'll notice that it's number 15.
Foot lettuce.
But
Beyblada's
that means
been out
it's
for so long though. How's the 15th Beyblade the defense?
Yeah, so it's the 15th release, and it's technically one of the first new attack rings they released. So there were only 3 attack rings to start, and then they re-released a bunch of recolors of those Beyblades with swapping around the parts. So the first set of like actual new releases was Pumpkin and Bakushino.
Okay.
And there was no defense type until then.
That's crazy.
Hasbro, we've learned while making this spreadsheet together that Hasbro lists, I believe, Saizo, which is Beyblade number 3, as a defense type, but it is not a defense type in the original release. It is just considered a, I believe, stamina type. So the first 3 Beyblades were just attack, stamina, and combination type. Balance was not the term. It was not stamina either. It was endurance type. So attack, endurance, and combination. And then this Bakushino was our first defense type Beyblade. So there was never even a concept of defense until here.
That's kind of crazy to think about. You know, I mean, how long? Okay, so before we start, when Bakushino was released, how far, like, as a franchise Beyblade was at the time? Like, how long had it been already?
So Bakushino would have been released a few months into Beyblade, which launched in July of 1999.
Okay.
So at that point, the only things that would have been out would have been the first Game Boy Color game, and we might have gotten, I believe, like the first chapter of the manga either soon or close to being released. So it was very, very early, and it's also not even a Beyblade that shows up in the manga as far as I know. It does show up in the anime as like a fodder Beyblade quite a few times, and it might have shown up in the manga as a fodder Beyblade, but I have not read the manga because I can't read as I am a Beyblade fan.
Of course, most Beyblade fans can't read, obviously. very commonality amongst other Beyblade enthusiasts, as they say. Anyway.
But yeah, it is quite interesting to note that just defense did not exist until 15 releases in. So.
I'd also like to say before we start, we are using various resources from the Beyblade community, like Plastics DB and the Beyblade Wiki, Fandom Wiki, and Beyblade X database and HMS DB. I believe we probably will link all of our sources in the description.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just for people that are curious.
Yeah, Plastics DB is a wonderful site with a ton of plastics information, competitive information put together by the wonderful WBO user Think. So make sure to say thanks to him.
Yeah, shout out to Think.
Yep. So with our first guy here, there's a link that says Mold 1. That's not part of its name. That is a recent discovery from us that is not covered on Plastics DB because Think does not own it yet. So if you want to click Mold 1 first, we can go to a Japanese site by Obake Blader. And we can see the original Bakushino mold. And then we'll go over the mold change in a second.
Actually, okay, yeah, we have the images there. Red, what do you think of this as a defense type? Just looking at it.
Honestly, bro, when you think of defense Beyblade, you would think something like a lot more like Shelly armory kind of, not so much like a pinwheel in a. Yeah, this is very interesting. They're like little hammers, honestly.
This is the starting point of all defense types.
Wow, this is the origin of defense right here.
Yep.
Yeah, so our first defense type comes with the 3 parts, what is it, down
force ring.
Down force ring.
Okay.
And
what, heavy?
The weight disc heavy.
Heavy,
and then the flat blade base, which is released on the first Beyblade, which is an attack type.
Oh.
Ultimate Dragoon.
So it's interesting to note nowadays in Beyblade X, and I believe also in Burst, type was always dependent on the performance tip of the Beyblade, like the actual contact with the stadium.
Yeah.
And as you can see here, it doesn't seem like they cared, because
actually,
it's like a first
flat would be aggressive. It will move aggressively regardless of what you do. There's nothing you can really do to stop that.
And then actually to get to the Mold 1 part of this, Red, if you want to like scroll back down to that side profile, if you look the very left and right most up a little bit.
Right here?
The wings there.
Yeah, the
on
side
the attack
profile.
ring,
Okay.
those 2 wings that stick straight upward.
Ah, yes, on
those
the sides.
Yeah, those wings only on the 2 at the end of each side of the bit chip. That's the difference between the original release and the Hasbro release. It's actually kind of interesting. I believe basically what happened is instead of reissuing Beyblades in Japan for the older stuff, what they would do is they would just import stock from Hasbro.
Okay.
So a lot of secondhand sites nowadays, you'll see like Hasbro stuff listed out, and it's because they just imported Hasbro stock and slapped a Takara label on the back of it to sell it to the Japanese public. And so Bakushin-O's second mold was released in Japan just in a Hasbro box, and the West supposedly has never gotten the first mold.
What the hell?
I will say, based on this Beyblade, I think that its attack ring shape, for when it was released, it would have been, I believe, the heaviest attack ring, which is a bonus. And it does use the heavyweight disc, because there was only 3 at this time: wide, heavy, and balance. So it would be the heaviest Beyblade until you get to the base, in which flat is the lightest of the bases. So I would say, based on like how it performs, like as a like actual Beyblade, it seems like what they were going for here was something that kind of like would deflect hits from attack types as it's moving.
Yeah, it
which is
definitely feels
interesting
that way.
because this is a concept that we use in competitive Beyblade to this day, and is considered probably one of the more smart strategies to actually using a defense Beyblade is what we call anti-attack, which is a mobile Beyblade with defensive traits that eats up hits while still being able to dish out hits, just not as good as an attack type, but also is able to withstand hits from attack types.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting to think that the first defense type Beyblade kind of follows a competitive archetype that we use. But as we'll see going forward, this is not really something that is kept.
Okay. Let's check out the other
So
side,
yeah, I want to pull out
Yeah.
the plastics DB. We can get some better pictures.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, if you want to like. Yeah, and then if you click on like the downforce ring link, you can kind of see right next to where it says attack ring. Yeah, right there. You can kind of get some more pictures there.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And then if you click on them, I think you should be able to click on them. I think, right? No.
Nope. That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. We can we'll improvise.
Yeah,
So yeah, you can see on like the top, like the little sheen there
Yeah, it's
on
not. It doesn't
that
even
one
it doesn't-
blade.
It doesn't even have the thing.
Yeah.
You
it
see
has,
the
like, little
top, like you see the
nubs, like,
sheen
remnants
on
of it.
the top left blade there.
Mhm.
That little like reflection, you can actually see the little seam line in which they clipped off the wing from the mold or something. It's very weird how they did it. I'm not sure why they did this. And while we don't have like any real competitive testing for the first mold of Bakushino, it's probably a very minor difference. If anything, it's going to make it more aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it will make it slightly less heavy, maybe.
Yeah, like maybe like less than 0.1 grams difference.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. So I guess in the end
So
of the day,
overall, it should be like it should be an okay Beyblade. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll answer our questions we made for it.
is it a real defense type, fellas?
I don't know if I'd call it a defense type. Like, if you want to use it for attack, sure, it's got like kind of aggressive contact points, I guess.
I would say
defense?
it's also an attack type. I feel like in the context of the parts released at this time, it is probably your best defense type, but also you would do yourself a favor by putting it on semi-flat base or sharp base. And unfortunately, it's on flat base, so I don't think it is a defense type because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put
If
a
anything, it
no
would
in
be a
there.
combination type.
Oh, definitely.
Because
It's very much of a mixture.
so yeah,
To be honest,
it doesn't
I'd-
have
I'd
any
be-
parts for defense. I would say at the time,
Yeah.
the attack ring could be used for defense. Yes,
I mean,
And-
I'd say the heavy weight disc.
and the heavy
more
weight
so.
disc, of course, has its use too.
And honestly, probably at the time, flat base is probably also your best defensive thing, but like, not like there's many options.
Yeah, there was nothing really, like everything was literally these same three basic bases. So I would say that it does have good parts for defense. And is there a better type? Definitely combination type. It would definitely be a
Like a
combination
hybrid.
type, I think.
You wanna
like
go
a
with-
hybrid.
Combination, honestly.
Yeah, I would go with combination personally.
I'm kinda-
That's my vote.
I'm kind of thinking more attack. Like what realistically, what else does this? What does this do for the other types?
It doesn't do anything, but since it does have sort of a deflective idea to its shape with like blades that go downward, I would say that it is more so, I guess.
I guess it could get some destabilization off, but like, I don't know.
that was my idea to it, but
I don't know,
I'm
actually.
okay just calling it. Honestly, I'm okay calling it attack as well.
Okay, I'll put combination / attack.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of either or really. All right, so we're on to our second defense Beyblade.
Ooh, this one's a big one.
This one's interesting.
Bound defensor.
Yeah. So
Oh
we're
wait,
at
no,
bound-
I'm thinking of a different defensor. My bad.
Yeah, no, not quite there yet. Not quite there yet.
Who is this fellow? Bound defensor. Ooh, okay.
All right,
Okay.
so we got this guy.
There's bound
Based
defensor.
on, I think, what it read before we like talk about it. I think for each of them, if you just want to give us like, what are your thoughts?
On
Do you
bound
think this
defensor?
is a good defense thing?
I'll be real. No. It just looks like another attack type.
Yeah, it got the it
The
is
attack,
also
the attack
all
ring
these.
is so it's just very it's just an attack, right? Or
Also, another thing to note right now, like all the Beyblades we're going to be looking at until I say so, they're all going to be right spin locked. Like period. They are always not even the fact that like later on we get left spin, then they can go left spin. No, the actual parts themselves are locked to right spin even after the left spin gears come out. So like
Yeah.
once you put them on a left spin gear, they can't turn physically, so you can't put them on. So this Beyblade is quite literally locked to this. However, I will say one of the interesting things is that you can actually invert the like black frame part
okay,
around the other way,
like the attack ring.
which will lead you to having big smooth bumps as your main like contact point
Yeah,
instead of the
I
huge
think-
spikes.
If you want to click on the link, I think the Plastics DB probably has images of it in its different modes. I'd imagine if you go to the bottom.
Oh yeah,
you
here
can
it is.
see-
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I guess not, but you can kind of see how you can orient it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you can flip over the black part on the other side.
Oh,
So
wow.
well, if you, I guess, yeah, if you look at that bottom side picture, basically just imagine the top blue part on top of the bottom side picture. Yeah, that one at the top there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would be able to have that as your contact point. I think in that context, I think this is a defense type.
Okay, I can see it
Well,
now. I can see it now.
And based on the spin up guidebook wanting us to let this like softer plastic frame break and allow us to like combine different
Like,
sections of it.
intentionally?
Yes, this is in the spin up guidebook 1. They advertise its companion piece, Bound Attacker. Basically, they want you this like the black part is made out of like a soft plastic, and essentially what happens is it will get hit hard and then it will break into different sections. And then what they want you to do is buy more of them
Ah,
and then put on more blades in each section,
how
essentially.
lovely. I love capitalism.
So you could technically add on more different pieces of blades to give it either more of an aggressive shape or more of a defensive shape.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many you could actually fit on there. I would imagine, based on what I'm looking at, probably only five-sided. And there's really no testing or knowledge about this at all. But I will say, just if you invert it, I think it does have a defensive shape based on what we have. And
I
it
can probably see
obviously
it.
is probably pretty heavy, too.
Inverting it isn't legal, is it?
It should be legal based on what we know. But I know sub attack ring inversion is legal now, so it should count. So it's up to you guys if you want to view it as that or view it like every possible thing it can do. I think since Takara themselves wanted you to let you break it, we should let inversion be the judge here, not just how it comes
Yeah, actually,
advertised.
reading the Positive DB thing, it does look like you actually can invert it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think it is a real defense type because it does come with the sharp base, which keeps it, which is our first case of it being kept in place, and I believe it also does come with the heavyweight disc, right? So I would say it is our first real defense type.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go.
Um,
So is it a real defense type?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yes, I think it is much better of a defense type
Than the previous
Bakushino.
release, definitely
Yeah.
for sure. And
Does
it have
it have good
parts?
parts? I believe the attack ring and the weight disc are good. So yeah, I think it has
if
good
you
parts
love
for it.
paying money?
Yep. So
And
yeah,
then-
and then we don't really need to pull in the
defense.
third blank. So yeah, it is.
Or I guess
defense.
just no.
no,
No.
no.
Ooh, now we go on to the big one. This is the big one.
Polar Defensor number 26.
There's a lot to say about this one.
Oh, we have so much to talk about with this guy.
Oh god.
Okay, I guess, Red, what are your thoughts on this as a defense type before we get into that?
Well, we got a little fella. It looks like a turtle, almost. I believe.
Yes, the bit beast on there I believe is random, but that is Sparkdrasil.
Oh my god, he's so cute. But he looks. I mean, definitely very round. Not round, but definitely not a lot of contact points compared to the previous Beyblades we've seen. But It looks pretty thick, kind of. I mean, yeah.
I can
Yeah,
get some good shots on the other pages here. You'll see some different things. So, yeah, Roller Defensor comes with the stock of heavy and semi-flat base.
Yeah.
So it still has the heavyweight disc, which
Of
is good.
course.
And I think this is probably, I would say this is the first true decent stock defense type of all time.
Okay.
I have seen this Beyblade in particular actually do well in tournaments, stock, as Seattle is one of the few places that hosts plastics actively. I've seen just stock Roller Defensor literally get second place at a tournament before.
Wow.
I would genuinely agree that it is actually a very solid shape for defense, and its build also makes sense. The semi-flat base is lower than the sharp base, which helps it from getting attacked underneath by other attack types, which at this point in the game would be a big concern. There are lots of things that can get underneath you on the flat base, and you would want to be a little bit lower, but the little roller wheels on it actually do something. The little rolling wheels actually does prevent things from gripping onto the opponent, and it does deflect attacks.
Well,
yeah, it has little tiny rollers on it.
It is called Roller Defensor, but like the rollers, it's less the gimmick of the rollers doing things, and more so just it's like a really round shape.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's very compact too, is another thing. So it's smaller, and objectively, it's going to be hit less than other Beyblades that are wider, because Bound Defensor and Bakushino were very wide. They're not as compact as even Ultimate Dragoon's attack ring, which was the first Beyblade. So I believe that this is like our first genuinely good example of what defense should be, which in my opinion is something that's round, small and compact, and also heavy.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is, even for its time, it's incredibly round for its time, and even as the generation goes on, it's still one of the like roundest things by the end of the generation. And at the start, it doesn't really have access to the part that makes it incredible. It's still great, but by the end of the generation, you have Circle Survivor, which you can put on it and just kind of like since it's so compact, you can kind of just let Circle Survivor, which I have linked. If you want to click on that, see what it looks like.
Yeah, sure.
You can look at that, but like it's just like a super big base.
Oh, wow.
It kind of blocks things out
Pretty fat.
and is super tanky. And then
To be clear, Circle Survivor is considered a stamina type. But in competitive, it ends up being more of a defense thing just because of its bulk and weight. And when I was a kid or a teenager, really, learning about plastics, people back then built it like stamina. But as I've come back into it now, what people do is they build it just basically stock, essentially Roller Defensor on top of Circle Survivor, because it mitigates as much contact as possible, which makes sense. And you want to be hit on that base instead of the attack ring. And Circle Survivor is so wide, but that attack ring on top is so short, or so small and compact, that it's harder to hit up there than it is the base, where you want to be hit for its gimmick.
Yeah, an amazing thing is it has incredible defense against like things that can't reach Roller Defensor, and it also has incredible stamina to go with it. It's like a very good part for both defense and stamina.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Roller Defensor definitely held on the generation. Obviously, we don't have much to say about Bakushino or Bound Defensor. So within this context, I mean, not only is it, I would say, a good first Beyblade, but like it genuinely is one of the most competitive parts, albeit unfortunately a little bit fragile because of the way it's designed.
Yeah, definitely so.
But it does have some stress points. However, I think the fact that it can hold on for so long with such an interesting shape is really cool, honestly.
Yeah, definitely one of the best defense parts in like all of Beyblade. It's like it's so good. I can't just give it a yes. I have to say incredible for this.
Absolutely,
It's the
yeah,
LeBron
incredible
defense type.
And I would say it definitely, yeah, it has all like two great parts for defense. Semi-flat at the time was probably the best defense option,
Mhm.
but we're gonna be getting a better base for it soon, anyways.
Okay.
And then no, I think defense types describes this thing pretty well.
Perfectly,
think-
perfectly.
He's him. He's just him.
He is
yeah,
him. He is
the
him.
ideal
He's him.
defense type.
He's him.
Truly.
All right.
Now we
Now
now we get the
five
wing
re-
defense.
5 releases later, wing defensor. All right. Who is wing defensor? Oh,
Well,
No.
it kind of somewhat looks like roller defensor, kind of, but not really. It's like an ugly twin brother.
well,
That's one way to
I-
describe.
I think Think's last little message there at the end. Overall, a very poor AR. Kind of describes it pretty well.
I see.
Yeah, like
so it essentially is the same exact combo, heavy and semi-defense.
Yeah, so
As,
it theoretically should be good, right?
Movement-wise, it'll perform the same, but
Okay.
when it comes to actually defending, not so much.
No.
It has these spring-loaded wings.
Yeah, right
so
here.
essentially, what happens is as you spin the Beyblade, it spins so fast that the wings that are meant to stay in place, they go outwards.
Oh.
However, the big issue here is there are giant yellow nubs on them that stick out in the middle,
Yeah, right here.
making the gimmick not work.
Oh.
The middle ones on the that stick out the furthest, those huge nubs, they just cause immense recoil to the Beyblade. So even though, unlike its counterpart Wing Attacker, which has the wings go out the opposite way
Yeah.
to deliver huge attacks, this one has them go in a way that does help with somewhat shock absorption. However, because of those little nubs, it just completely invalidates any hope that this attack ring actually ever had, to be honest.
Damn.
yeah, and
um,
it's so oval shaped too, but it doesn't really have like the good contact points to grip onto the opponent and throw them, so it just ends up with just a
Killing
whole bunch of
itself.
recoil.
It's a
Yeah,
rag-
and-
it's a
it's
ragdoll.
pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Damn.
And when the wings come back out at the end, it just kills itself even worse.
Exactly.
It's really
So
sad.
I
That's
would
so
I would
tragic.
say that honestly, I think it's just a worse, it's just a worse version of the Wing Attacker attack ring, and if anything, it's still because of those contacts and the way they're laid out. It's an attack type. It's not a defense type.
Yeah. So I mean,
Damn.
I guess if we want to call this something,
So,
we can
guys,
I
is
think
it a real defense type?
I think we can,
No.
based on that, I think we can fairly safely say no. Does it have
Yeah.
any parts for defense? What was the weight disc
Right.
again?
It was
the-
heavy and
heavy.
semi-flat.
So,
so-
it has like the
Yes.
formula. It's just the.
It does have them,
It's
just
just
not
the AR.
its
The AR
new-
is just really bad.
Yeah, it's new shiny AR and not quite so good, huh?
And I think I think that's a good type to describe it, right?
I would say it's an attack type.
It's bad.
I think.
I was,
Bad
I was,
type.
I was about to say it's a sham, but I guess bad is bad. Dude,
yeah.
that's fine.
Well,
Ooh, we get into our first like.
Oh, immediately after
Big guy.
another defense type. Immediately after wing defensor, Drasil metal ball defensor.
Yep.
Ooh, this is a big
Okay.
one.
I do love me Drasil. Oh my god, Drasil.
that's our first Drasil.
Steel's known for their very defensive shapes, of course.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so this is our first look at the
Go.
idea of a shield-based design for our defense types,
Yeah.
which is something that we're gonna see in generations going forward again. But in the plastic generation, unfortunately, these are pretty common. So when talking about Max Shield, the attack ring,
Yeah.
it's designed to look like essentially a fortress. It's a perfectly symmetrical fortress design, having slopes going down on all the sides and 4 spots sticking out. And based on the Cora magazine images and the spin-up guidebooks at the time, essentially what it describes it as is it wants you to have these 4 points because they are supposed to reflect the other Beyblade off of them. What they mean by that is that it's supposed to make the other Beyblade get away from it. In reality, what this is not the Beyblade deflecting hits, but rather its poor shape recoiling the other Beyblade away from it. In the context of this Beyblade, it has the heavyweight disc, which we've seen on multiple releases already. Obviously, it's just the heaviest of the weight discs.
Of course.
And
then
they are
but
definitely
it does get a new base though.
It has a new base, which is incredibly good, which is the metal ball base. Essentially, it is basically a sharp base, but
It's full of
instead of having nothing to it, it is our first gimmick base in the entire generation, besides jumping base, which was released earlier. So this has the ability to set 6 metal balls into it, which was legal at the time and is still legal in WBO rulings as well, which makes it absolutely bar none the heaviest base and will be for quite a while in the generation. And with that, the max shield design does make a little more sense here, as the 4 prongs sticking out would definitely win the recoil battle because it has so much more weight that it's going to objectively stay in the stadium a little bit better. However, that being said, if you're hitting underneath and it's upper attacking and not touching those points at all, it could just KO the thing without even having to face the recoil from that. And in general, recoil as your sort of idea for getting Beyblades away from you is not the strategy. And it's definitely
gets itself away from the opponent by sending it out of the stadium.
Yeah, it's certainly like just due to its shape being so poor, what ends up happening more often than not is it's going to self KO from the impact rather than actually send the opponent away from it. That being said, I mean, I've played with Max Shield a ton, and it is by far probably one of the better of these shape and designs. It is not nearly as bad as a lot of the others, and I think that's because it's just so much smaller than stuff we're going to be getting in the future with this kind of design philosophy. So while it's still flawed, because of the base, it absolutely is carried by it. So I would say that despite the AR's downfall, it is absolutely definitely a defense type because that base is just so good.
The base is good. I don't know if that's enough to carry that AR to being considered a real defense type though. Like, it's just such a bad AR for defense. They like don't work together at all. I don't know if I want to call that thing a defense type.
It is
a real one.
It is definitely pushing it because of that attack ring, but I would say that because of the way that in the time period that it was released in, I feel like it still does pass, but it won't pass later on, if that makes sense.
Okay, we can put it as a yes for now, but that it's really just the base is doing everything there.
It's kind of a yes with a question mark, and then obviously it does have very good parts for defense.
Here, I think I have a better thing for this. Let's do. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Let me just get this in here. There we go. And then yes.
It's a kinda for sure. I would say that we are, obviously when we're getting into the competitive sense of things now, we can throw Roller Defensor, which only came out a few releases ago, right onto this guy, and I mean, it's gonna do wonders, right?
I think I have to write a whole sentence for is there a better type to describe this thing, because the base and the AR are just so conflicting.
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely like at opposition with each other. But yeah, no, overall, I mean, it still did do a big service to defense, because the idea of adding weight was really introduced here rather than before. Everything else was circumstantially heavier. This one, we actually did understand that yes, weight does do something in the context of, yes, you need to be heavy so you can actually defend from attacks, because at this point, attack types were very, very light, but they were very fast. And because of the amount of motion that they would get, it didn't really matter how heavy you were comparatively, you were still going to get sent flying. So the amount of weight that it added is so much more than other Beyblades that honestly, I think if people were a lot smarter back then and the game was played at a like standard that it is today, I think honestly everything would just become metal ball based dittos, and it would just be your pick of an attack ring, which we'll see in early burst later on. So I do think it is still a good release though.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Even if just for the base, because the base is awesome.
I can't say the same about the next one.
All right, and in 4 releases right after is Death Dragger.
Yeah, definitely a very disappointing
Oh Jesus.
release after what was a very awesome, cool, unique
It's a
Beyblade.
star.
So yeah, we have the attack ring star shape.
I see. Very
It's-
intentional.
Very much hitting that sort of same design philosophy
Looks like an attack type, almost.
with a very like, oh, it's a symmetrical design and it has like a fortress to it. It looks like a you know, kind of like a sprawled out turtle, right?
Okay.
Oh wait, shoot! Is this our first one? This is our first one to give us an 8-weight disc, isn't it?
Yeah. It has
So
another-
yeah,
has
this one is a
another
spin gear
two?
system Beyblade.
Oh.
So we're past the point of screwing in our blade bases. Now we do have this system, which means that they are inherently heavier than the previous Beyblades we've looked at, but even then, with its base, it's still not going to be as heavy as metal ball base with all of the extra balls added in. Or even with just 2 balls, I think that's still heavier.
This means the star shape, the AR, can actually spin in both directions, right?
Actually, no, this one's still locked.
Oh, dang! What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, this one's still locked for some reason, but it is on a spin gear. So we are up to 8-weight disc, which means that it's basically a all-level buff for all of the Beyblades at this point. Everything goes up just by size. So they have more sides, and then the weight goes up just marginally more, which ends up making a bigger difference as we get to the 10 series. But we do have SG Sharp Base, which most of the time I would say that sharp tips are really bad for defense. I think that that's a pretty common opinion in terms of actual competitive use, right?
What was that?
Yeah.
But I will
just-
say that this one in particular is not the worst, because a lot of the older Beyblades here, when they made sharp tips, they essentially were not really sharp. They were really just very tiny balls. So while their stability wasn't as good as a semi-flat, they would very quickly wear into a more usable ball shape. And I think because of the way that this base is shaped, it's very like round. I would actually say that at the time it was released, SG Sharp Base probably wasn't too bad.
And to get into why sharp tips, like the shape of sharp tips, is bad for defense, though, like they're very stationary. You don't get any movement out of them. Like with a ball, you can kind of move it around to try to avoid attacks, but a sharp base is just gonna sit in the center. Now this one, like Neo said, it is not completely sharp, so you can kind of get some movement out of it. But the other big thing is, since it's sharp, it kind of has a ramp, which when it gets to the ridge of a stadium, and at this point in time, Beyblade stadiums did not have a ridge, which is quite unfortunate because they're very important parts. But for stadiums that do have ridges, it kind of just acts as a ramp and goes right past that ridge instead of catching on it like something like a flat base would do.
Yeah,
I see that
so
there's
that's
2
another big
molds.
thing is
Oh, there's a lot of molds for these.
there's a lot of molds for them, but essentially like you're gonna get different like molds and like heights and stuff. There's a lot of interesting
differences
things, but
are very minor.
at the point where you're getting different molds, you're getting a lot more variety in bases, so it's kind of irrelevant, and at that point it's completely outclassed. I would say it's still, in the context of the stadiums used, it's probably still okay, but this this is not. I would not say that this is a defense type inherently, especially with the balance weight disc and its attack ring of choice. I don't think it's a real defense type.
I just want to check real quick how 8 balances weight compares to heavy. I think it should be lighter, but
It might be a bit lighter.
Yeah, okay, it's about a 1 gram difference. Heavy is about 1 gram heavier still than 8 balance, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think for this thing we can safely say that no, it is not a defense type.
It's not. It's not a defense type.
It's a little bit of a freak.
Yeah. Does it have any parts for defense?
I mean,
not really.
weight,
Not really.
Yeah, 8 balance. You're not really using like. You wouldn't really use that for. You wouldn't really use it in general, but you wouldn't use it for defense especially.
Yeah, you're not really using it for anything in that regard. I will also say that the other main thing with sharp tips is that since they do have objectively less surface area with the stadium, they're going to have an easier time being KO'd versus other things. The only reason that sharp base is not truly tragic at this point is because it's like almost a perfect circle, especially with the type of sharp clips that don't sit in all the way. The ones that are like kind of more out and it's a perfect circle, that does have a good defensive shape to it, so it can kind of like if there's nothing to grab onto, then the other Beyblade won't hit it as hard. But I will say that because of the way that plastic generation attack rings are designed most of the time, it's pretty much a suggestion, and not really going to, like, a smoother shape is not really going to save you from being completely yeeted away from the stadium. So.
Okay. And then for the type, what do we just want to say? It's just
I
a
would
bad
say
type?
it's just bad. There's really,
Okay.
there's really no type to it. Like, it's just a mishmash of bad parts.
Yeah. Our next one though is super interesting. Now this is where we start to get into the really interesting Beyblades. We had Drasil Metal Ball Defensor, that was pretty cool. But now these are like super interesting now that we're in the spin gear system.
Yep, we are in the spin gear system, right in the heat of it.
And we're sanctified with the A series.
Yes, so A dash was used after A1, which was the recolor of Dragoon Storm to signify that the anime has started, baby. We love the anime.
I love
so essentially, we're at the anime bays now. We're out of the number series. It's on to Galman here.
Yeah, Galman.
Galman's very interesting.
Number 10.
So Galman as a defense type, huh?
That's a circle.
Well,
I think if you want to click on the AR and scroll down to the images, you'll see what's really going on there.
That's not a circle.
Yeah.
Not quite,
so
right?
For War Monkey, which is the name of Galman's AR, it's split into 2 components. It's part of like a series of attack rings. There's a bunch of attack rings like this. They split them into 2 parts, like 2 layers. Yeah. You have the attack ring, the main one, and the sub attack ring on the bottom, which is free spin. So it kind of like rotates separately from the rest of the Beyblade, which is actually a very good defensive gimmick, because it kind of disperses some of the energy from the impact into that free spinningness, and reduces the distance that's going to be sent flying.
Yeah, so definitely a huge bump up in the gimmick there. I will say there's nothing much to say about the rest of its combo. We are also using, I believe, 8 balance and sharp base, SG sharp base, just like the previous release. So it is objectively a much better Beyblade.
The weight disc is different. If we want to take, I think it's going to be a very good weight disc for defense. If you want to scroll down, Red.
Oh, are we? Do we get 8 heavy on this one?
We do have 8 heavy.
8?
Okay, so we do get 8 heavy, which is nice. So that is a huge weight buff.
How much of a weight buff we talking?
Let's see. How much does 8 heavy weigh?
It says it's about 15 grams.
15.
That's the same weight as heavy actually, but it is like wider, so it has a better weight distribution, which is going to be nice for just letting it spin longer. It doesn't really come with any defensive downsides.
Yeah, having more sides means less like surface area that the other Beyblades can grip onto. As we get to the 10 series, we'll notice that we're almost basically a perfect circle at that point. But just as a general thing, like obviously just getting a heavyweight disc on your defense Beyblade is just going to be better. That's what we're going for. We're trying to stay in the stadium. And I think Galman is actually, I would say it is a defense type,
Well,
but
I think
it
I think before we get into
definitely.
that, I think we should go. I think we should talk more about the AR because like we talked about its gimmick, but we didn't really talk about War Monkey itself.
So yeah,
Uh,
the thing is with War Monkey is it does have the sub attack ring gimmick where it's free spin, which does help. But the problem with War Monkey is that it is both of its main attack ring and its sub attack ring are what are pretty much aggressive designs.
I mean, I think
In
the
in
sub
the
attack
in
ring-
in right spin, this is a dual spin attack ring. This would be our first one.
yeah, this would
Um,
be, but
So,
I think the
but
sub
as
attack
like
ring at least is it's the sub attack ring is very good defensively. I think especially when if you combine it with this thing because you can see the circular shape it creates too. I wouldn't say it's ideal for defense, but I would say it's definitely one of the better options we
it's
have right now.
usable. It's usable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would still use, essentially at this point I would still use roller defensor with metal ball base, but if I needed something else, then this would not be a bad option, honestly.
Yeah.
Just
so
the free spin gimmick is good enough to have, but
it's huge. So what do we think? We want to call this a defense type then?
I would say it is a defense type.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with
I
that.
don't think I've ever considered Galman any type before.
I kind of
we-
thought it was
we-
stamina until
We
now.
started
not gonna lie.
this. Yeah, but I would say it is.
It is.
And I definitely would say that it has defensive use.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It has
Competitively, War Monkey ends up being used as a left spin zombie type kind of attack ring. It's not the best at its job, but it's definitely not bad.
Yeah, I think like what
And the War
can be
Monkey sub
considered
attack ring
attack?
is good still.
Yeah, I think it could be considered attack. Like if you want to choose to run it that way, you could. But I think defense type describes it pretty well. To be honest.
Yep, just by virtue of having that, that sub attack ring, it's already doing a better job at defending from things than some of our other guys that we've looked at today so far.
Yeah.
Speaking of other guys that we've looked at today, this
Well,
one's
Lisa's after.
this one's interesting.
Seaboard.
This one's very, very interesting.
Oh, boy.
As a defense type, of course.
It does have something that's good for defense. I don't know if it's gonna be this first part though.
It's yeah. What are your opinions, Red? What do you think about whale attacker?
It's big. It's pretty.
Certainly, certainly is big.
Has some thick contact points at some certain points. I don't know. I feel like it wants to be, but it feels a little weird though.
Yeah, I will say based on its choice to use a wide weight disc here, I believe that was some compensation to try and mitigate how much of that attack ring actually hits.
Oh. I see.
As you can see by like the picture of the entire Beyblade, you see how some of the whale head is covered up about halfway. If that was on a heavyweight disc, which is the most compact, that entire whale head would have been exposed.
Yeah.
And I think we're going back to essentially where we started with recoil, right? This essentially is going to give you a ton of recoil. Thankfully, it does have a new part on its base, which is defense grip base.
If you want to scroll down to that.
Yeah, sure. Defensive grip base.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, shiny.
So defense grip base is
That's rubber.
and our first rubber tipped defense base,
Wow.
as it loves to say, super defense on it.
Yeah.
You'll also notice that there are pictures of it being an entire giant rubber flat. That's because they designed it in a way so it would just have a huge section of rubber on the inside, but they did not think about what would happen if some kid decided to pop their tip in the other way.
Oh.
And therefore, Seaborg is, well, if you count the invert, essentially it's a stock attack type at that point.
Oh.
A pretty good one at that too.
A pretty decent attack type. I would definitely say its stock performance is much better with an inverted tip than it is with the rubber sharp.
Yeah, I mean, for defense though, what this podcast is about, the uninverted, it's incredible for defense. The rubber just provides so much grip, which is very important for defense. Like, it just prevents it from moving. The rubber is dragging across the stadium, way more friction than like any other material. I'd say like probably the best defensive base we have at this point, like maybe alongside
Metal ball base,
which just uses sheer mass to keep itself in. This one uses the grip from the rubber tip, and it has a rubber sharp shape, which is pretty good. The shape they give to rubber sharps is pretty good defensively too. Like, it has enough stamina to outlast stuff, and it's kind of like, it's not like a cone like most sharps. It's more of like a cylinder kind of, with a little ball on the end, which
it's kind of like a long. It's like a hot dog shape. It's like a big egg, right?
Yeah, it's like a cylinder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's actually a really good shape. And this base, it still performs competitively very well in its default configuration, despite most people using it in the rubber flat version.
Yeah.
The rubber sharp version is definitely nothing to scoff at. It's totally viable as a defense type. I would say, despite the attack ring, I do feel like Seaborg is a defense type.
I don't know, because like sure, I think the grip is enough to keep it in the stadium, but the recoil will just be too much with the rubber tip. It won't actually be outlasting any attack types.
That is true. The recoil is really horrible on this,
because to be good for defense, you do need to be outspinning stuff still.
One of the worst parts about Seaborg is the fact that it is so light with that shape, because it has the grip, but it doesn't have the weight to support it. And obviously the attack ring is at opposition, but you really need that wide weight to not make your contact so bad. But then again, you're also losing out on weight. It does buff your stamina, but your stamina is not going to be good because of all the recoil you're going to have regardless. So as a stock, I would say that it is like, I would say it is a defense type. It's just really bad.
I'd be willing to meet you at like kind of, because it can stay in the stadium, but it won't be OSing anything.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of as well, just based on virtue of like them essentially wanting to make an attack type and then ending up trying to make it a defense type somehow. If anything, it's something like balance, but it's kind of like, if anything, it's really what you'll see later on people try to do, which is like stationary attack, which doesn't really work. So
yeah,
it does have good parts for defense. I guess if I had to say anything, it would probably be just a bad combination type, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, attack, defense, bad, basically. Yeah, it's essentially that.
Ooh, okay, this next one.
Our next one is gonna get us back into turtle territory. So
very much a successor.
One of the most high-selling Beyblades of the Bakuten Shoot era.
Really?
This is certainly a successor to the previous Dracil in terms of what it does for defense.
The GOAT.
So we are we're buffing ourselves up a little bit here. Essentially, it is essentially just a bigger version, in all ways, over Metal Ball Defensor Dracil. Its attack ring cross spike is quite miserable, actually, for defense. As it's gotten bigger, it also grew more contact points, and all of those contact points are sharp and very much more recoily. As an attack type, with a wide weight disc, the attack ring is not the worst thing in the world.
Looks like it has deep balance, not wide.
But unfortunately, it comes with 8 balance, which is also not great for it to have because it doesn't really need 8 balance. I believe this was just done just to keep it like flush with the base and the like main like circle part of the attack ring.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a good choice because it's essentially just not going to help it as much as having a heavyweight disc here, which it really, really needs for that attack ring shape. The attack ring is so miserable, but at the very least, its base is a very good base, and probably one of our best bases for.
Yeah, it can be used to create the heaviest legal base. There is one base, we can touch on that at the end, that's illegal and heavier, but this you can combine this with the heavy metal core to create the heaviest base, heavier than metal ball base. This is SG metal ball base because it's spin gear now.
So we do have the option to go left spin, which I think is also, I think, a very good buff for defense, because if you're running in left spin, then you're at least going in the opposite direction, which means that you're going to equalize off the opponent, which at this point, you might see more left spin attack with Dragoon S being a thing. However, you're still going to see a lot of right spin attack types, so honestly, going in left spin would be very solid as well. You can fit up to 4 balls, and the tip is not a ball, it is actually like a rivet. It's a generic, like, manufacturing rivet, which is very funny. Yeah, just basically you have 4 balls in there, and the 4 holes on the base, they don't do anything, they're just for aesthetic. You can't like fit any extra balls in them. So it's not like the original metal ball base where you could fit balls into the holes on the bottom of the base to add even more weight. On this one, you can only do the 4 balls and that's it.
Yeah, and being able to go both spin directions is actually a huge buff for defense because if you're going the opposite direction of your opponent, your shapes are going to kind of mesh, which will be less recoil. It means you stay in the stadium more, which is obviously what a defense type wants to do. So that's a huge buff, especially now that we have another good base for it that is dual spin.
So what do we want to call Dracila S?
Is it a real defense type? No, there's no way we call this thing a real defense type. It does have the parts for it, but
I would definitely say it's not a real defense type because it doesn't even have a heavy weight disc, which I think is just depressing.
we can safely say no. Does it have the parts? Absolutely.
It
SG
does
metal
have the
ball
parts.
base, incredible.
Yeah, it has one incredible part, just not.
I know
not
the
here.
perfect word: imposter.
Yeah, that is honestly a good way to say it. I mean, it is really that it is very depressing to see the downfall of Dracil here, because as we keep going on, it's really only going to get worse until it gets better in a weird way.
Okay.
Our next one here is very interesting. It's a fan favorite.
Absolute icon. 4 releases after Dracil S.
Our mascot for the podcast.
It is our mascot. It did win the Xover poll, which had a bunch of fans voting. It was #1 for the plastics poll.
Was for Beyblade
The
S.
most popular cultural Beyblade in Japan, and probably the most, besides Trigal, probably the highest selling Beyblade of all time. I'm positive. I can definitely sit there and say that because the amount of flying defense attack rings that I have bought in lots over the years is immense. I have owned so many of these things, and
a healthy amount.
And can you blame me? It's one of the coolest little things of all time. This giant propeller disc that you can just take off, put on a right spin launcher upside down, and rip into the sky because it flies. I would say it's probably the most culturally iconic Beyblade ever made. It's Tripio.
I mean, I think for the AR, this is the Takara one. We can look at the Hasbro one later if we want to. I think we probably should. But for the AR, its gimmick absolutely kills any chance it has of being good. But it is just so wide, it can kind of just catch on the walls and not go out. But
the problem is staying alive in terms of spin.
Yeah, this is like probably the first not the first time. Well, that's the first time, but the only time in Beyblade history as well where like a air gimmick, like up force, down force, actually works because it's just so wide. It can actually do something, but unfortunately, doing something means it also kills itself.
Yes, unfortunately, Tripio's downforce gimmick essentially just makes it so, while it does stay in the stadium, it's so wide and it's so easily destabilized by the fact that pretty much every Beyblade at this time is going to be able to get right under its attack ring, and as it tries to come back down on those other Beyblades, it has no weight to support it. So what ends up happening is it just ends up stopping its spin and losing way more RPM, revolutions per minute, of course, over the other Beyblade, who is just underneath it and spinning just fine. So, despite it having a heavy weight disc and having a very smooth base with sharp base, it's pretty unfortunate.
It can't use the smoothness of the base because it just hits the AR when it tilts. But like also, sharp base is terrible for this because it has poor stability, which just makes Tripio's air thingy so much worse. It'll just topple over and it can do nothing to save itself. It's not like it could really save itself either way, but it's just even worse.
Now, if you want to take a look at the attack ring again, we can take a look at the mold difference because Hasbro did change this attack ring very severely. So if you scroll down, you'll see
a little bit. Flying defense Hasbro. Go up a little bit. It's like in one of the paragraphs there.
It's in the paragraph. You'll see it.
There's a link to flying defense Hasbro.
Yeah. So they
It's ugly.
they neutered him. He no longer has slopes on it, which means there's no more air gimmicks because it can't fly, but it also still kind of can fly. So it was kind of a pointless change in terms of safety. But it does have a circular shape now. It has actually smooth outsides. It's not a flat giant rim.
It doesn't have those like 3 bumps that the original had.
So I would say in terms of defense, it's definitely a big improvement, but it does suffer from the same issues as the other ones, just not nearly as severe.
There is also, while not defensive, I would like to point out there was a recent combo discovered by Death Onion, which is used for stamina using this thing, which I think is really funny if you combine it with the jumping base 2, which is an incredibly funny combo. Not good for defense, but it is a good stamina combo, and I just wanted to point that out because it's really funny.
So it did end up having competitive use, but for years Tripio has always been a meme just because of how poor it performs, but how funny and interesting it is of a Beyblade.
The shape is so iconic.
I would definitely not say that it's a defense type in any way.
No, this is not a defense type in any way. It has 8 heavy, but like it's a common weight disc.
That's the only thing. And obviously they're not putting 8 heavy on things that need it anyways. So I feel like at this point they're just gotchaing the weight disc. They're like, yeah, this one will get this kind of weight disc today. And they did not really care what kind went on which. So I would definitely not say that there's any use in Tripio as any kind of defense whatsoever. It's just abysmal, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think that's the best type to describe it, just abysmal. Ooh, this next one is not as interesting, but it does have a very good part, even if it's not a particularly interesting one.
Wow, 15 releases after. Master Dracil, what a big gap.
Yeah, so we're at Master Dracil now, which ironically is not the first time that this attack ring has been released. There was a Beyblade before called Kids Dracil, and Kids Dracil has the same exact attack ring, the same exact base, but it has a different weight disc. And somehow, this one is the defense type. I don't know how, but this one's the defense type, so we're going to talk about it. This attack ring is fantastic.
As a defense, for defensive?
Yeah, it has... I don't know. Is there a picture that shows its side profile showing its side? Yeah, I guess that picture kind of.
Yeah, you can kind of notice.
The underside, it has these
little bumps,
little slopes. Not they kind of. It's more so the slopes on the bottom, on the edges of those wings. It is like the primary AR for a subtype known as Force Smash, which what it does is it uses those slopes to kind of force the opponent into the ground. Just drain their stamina, and it's incredible at this. And then it's also like it's fairly round too, so it's good for as well as using that to like deflect opponents into the ground. It's also just fairly round, so it's low recoil. And I personally use this AR with the SG metal ball base and the heavy metal core to create a super heavy combo that just like plants itself in the middle, forces its opponents into the ground, and it's just really hard to budge.
Yeah, I would also say that this is a actually good defensive attack ring.
What?
Just based on the fact that it has like some sort of gimmick. I believe that the force smash gimmick that we now know as an attack thing sort of kind of was made as like oh look, it can push the opponents away by pushing them down. And I feel like this kind of backfired on them because it ends up being an attack thing, but it does have a defensive trait at the point in which we're thinking about like right now. Which I believe as a stock combo, it's actually decent too because it is on sharp base, which is one of the taller bases at the time.
Yeah, sharp, and then does it have 8 heavy?
It has 8 wide.
Okay, that is unfortunate. I mean,
which is definitely unfortunate for this one.
I mean, I think what do we think this is like kind of a defense type? That's kind of what
I would say just based on it being, you know, if we're talking about Kids Dracula, which I believe had 8 balance or 8 heavy, it would have been a defense type in my opinion, but I think just based on it, I would say it's just a very mediocre balance type because of its lack of weight. But it does have a very good part 4 defense, so I would not say it is a defense type just based on it. It does have a good attack ring for it, and while it might be one of the best designed attack rings in the generation, it's definitely on that kinda, I would believe.
Yeah, and then the AR, yes, absolutely. Great for defense. I run it myself.
Yeah, and while the attack ring can be used as something offensive, it's still really good for defense just based on its shape. Even though it has a bunch of little recoily points on it, the way it's set up doesn't leave it having a ton of recoil, so.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a better way to describe it. It's just like, it's okay at defense, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really think it would fall more into anything else.
Another really, really popular Beyblade.
2 releases right after. Dracula F.
Anime carrying this one because in real life,
oh my god, it's so beautiful.
One of my first Beyblades, Dracula F, otherwise known as Dracula Fortress.
Also one of my first Beyblades too when I was a kid.
Yes, it was a very, very common Beyblade and very, very, very popular. This one's really interesting. However,
I mean,
I
think the short paragraphs thing has to write here about it says all you really need to know.
It is like it is a proper evolution of the Dracula line in which it constantly keeps doing a sprawled out turtle design that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's like a cross hybrid between Dracula Metal Ball Defensor's attack ring, but also Dracula S, and just overlaps each of the 2 shapes like together, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But you're also combining 2 bad shapes together, and while it's more consistent than those, I don't think it makes it better.
So what you're saying is 2 negatives made a neutral.
Of the Dracilas,
essentially neutral, but just as bad.
I think this is the worst of the Dracula ARs we've seen so far, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, honestly, having that recoil defense thing going on is actually better and more preferable to this design, which is crazy to think about. And we also are still running 8 balance for some reason, which is very annoying.
Most of these weight discs are going to be the same. I don't think the defense types really have any interesting weight discs going on. It's just going to be like heavy, wide balance.
This base is interesting as we're in the F series now of Beyblades, which have a lot of them will have cores. Their spin gear cores will have the tip attached, and they'll go through into the base. Fortress base is very heavy because it has the ability to put metal balls into it. However, unfortunately, it can only store 2 metal balls, and the 4 holes are worthless, just like Dracula S. However, you can't double up the metal balls. So you can only put in the 2 metal balls, and that's all you get. And that doesn't make up for its much poorer shape at the bottom, because the giant 4 cylinders it has are just incredibly recoily, and they really offer nothing good in terms of defensive performance. This is another one of those things where I think they're basically designing based on aesthetic. They're thinking, oh, it's a defense type. Look, it's Drasil F. It's a fortress. Look how big and bulky it is. Whereas in actual performance, that does not translate to defense. That translates to recoil. And recoil is bad for defense.
Yeah, and despite being the next Drasil in the Drasil line after Drasil S, Fortress Base is lighter than SG Metal Ball Base, assuming both of them have all the max amount of balls in. Only really
it does have a
thing...
metal ball on the tip, which, yeah, interestingly, it is called Grease Ball because if you want to click on the spin gear link on the previous page, you can actually see there's a little canister of grease that you were supposed to apply yourself. This was not given to us. This was not given to us by Hasbro. They did not want children eating the grease with a little spatula.
Yeah,
Yummy
there it
grease.
is. Yeah, there's the grease. There's the grease on the stick.
So yeah, you got a silicone-based grease that you would grease up on just that ball, and it makes it move around a little bit more, but that's also not a good defensive trait. While the ball rolling is good, it being on a metal ball tip like this makes it have inherently less friction with the stadium. So while it is going to weigh more, like we said before, even with the maximum amount of balls, SG Metal Ball Base and Metal Ball Base are still going to outweigh this thing, and therefore you're going to have less friction and less weight, so you're not staying in the stadium more with this versus even the original Metal Ball Base, which had a plastic tip, which plastic has more friction with the stadium and metal has less, so it's going to stay in objectively more than this thing is. And the grease is not helping here. It's just making it move around and not squeak, but it's not going to help it. It's going to hurt it, if anything.
So, yeah, do we think this is a real defense type thing? I mean, I think the answer is fairly obvious, right?
Absolutely not. It is not a defense type. It is a Drasil, for sure.
Does it have defense parts? I think Fortress Base kinda, right?
I don't even think... So the thing is like, competitively, Fortress Base, you can throw a Wolborg 2 shaft in there, and it can work, but again, you're just introducing recoil, and if you have that part, you should have the actual base.
I think, like, the bulk, though, just from the metal balls and it just being a very bulky shape with a lot of plastic, I feel like it deserves a kinda. Like, it's it would be, if anything, it's our first kind of, in terms of if it has parts for defense. Yeah.
It can be used if you literally have nothing else. But again, I think this kind of goes into the whole point of this. If your defense type is so bad that it's a kinda, you shouldn't be running defense.
You shouldn't, but like, I feel just because it's suboptimal doesn't mean you can't use it.
Oh no, for
defense.
sure. I just mean that, you know, it depends on what format and what kind of generation, of course, but here it's a little easier to get away with, I will say.
And yeah, type, there's not like, it's just a recoily stationary thing. That's just not what you want. It's just bad.
Yeah, speaking of bad things, we can make it worse. Drasil V.
Actually, but wait, does this have this? This is our introduction to the 10 series, but which 10 disc does this give us?
The 10 balance.
Unfortunately, it only gives us 10 balance, which is 15 grams, but
I like how Drasil just
you know,
keeps looking like a Christmas tree ornament.
Yep. Now we have a dark green, which is very pretty. However, as it is pretty, it is bad. This is one of the worst attack rings ever made.
Instead of the 8 spikes we had before, we have 2 more. We have 10.
Hence the name 10 Spike.
Yeah.
I think we should just have Red read this.
Alright.
Like that.
The attack ring, 10 Spike. 10 Spike mixes up the traditional Drasil AR formula by adding poor synergy with most parts, due to the 5 symmetrical design, to the traditional lack of power and recoil issues that define its predecessors. A true triumph of modern science. Awful at attack, defense, and stamina. Truly terrible.
I love that. Truly terrible. I
It
think about it every day.
It is truly true. It is
part of
definitely a
my
contender for
regular
one of the
vocabulary.
worst. It's one of the worst attack rings made, and probably one of the worst shapes made.
It's not good, but honestly, for attack, I think it's okay. I think it's really overhated.
That's because you're thinking of the burst version.
No, I'm thinking of this version because I remember you got me it, and I was like trying it out because Think was like, "Oh, it's terrible," and I tried it out. I'm like, "Oh, so it's pretty okay, man."
Yeah, well, Viper metal ball base. It's great in 0G plastics, but here, unfortunately not very good. This base has the gimmick of having Magnacore spin gears sit inside, and what it does is it will magnetize the two tinier metal balls. Keep in mind, tinier than the previous
actually.
ones, and it has a free spinning
Where are they
metal ball
located?
tip. They're located on the sides of the shaft, which you can see at the very bottom. There are two metal balls that are on the side of the main shaft.
Oh.
The issue with this base is that it's probably about as tall as Fortress base, which is already hitting a very unfortunate height. And this is one of the issues that defense is leaning into now, is that while our earlier Beyblades were pretty low height, in general, all Beyblades are lower height. Now, as we further this series, Beyblades are getting a lot higher in height, and generally that's not a good thing for defense, especially if there's no shape underneath to reflect or repel any kind of attacks. And this one definitely doesn't have a good shape to reflect any kind of attacks. If it gets hit on that shaft with those huge protrusions on the side, it's just going to get destroyed and sent out of the stadium. And again, the metal balls are even smaller, so we have a lighter base. And the Magnacore, when you put it in, actually just completely defeats the gimmick. There is no centrifugal force with the balls. There is no free spin with the balls. They just completely lock into place, which is technically better for the tip. But again, it has less friction. It has a smaller tip. So it's just overall going to be really, really bad for any kind of defensive use.
Going back to what you were saying earlier, though, about the Magnacore spin gear, that is our heaviest spin gear so far, right? Because we haven't gotten to heavy metalcore yet.
Yes, so Magnacore is our heaviest spin gear, at least, which is definitely a big buff. And that can also be used in previous bases besides metal ball base. So it can be used in the SG metal ball base from Steel S. So as you can see with this generation, a lot of our older parts are getting more value as time goes on, because they keep introducing a lot of really bad parts.
The issue with that, this though, is the Magnacore spin gear is not really a Steel V thing. It came on almost every V series thing, so it doesn't really count as a part. I don't think we really can count that as a part that makes it.
It's essentially a generic part, just like having a bit chip.
Yeah.
So there's really no value to this Beyblade at all, especially with 10 balance being one of the most common weight discs there is.
So I mean, is it a real defense type?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, let me actually.
I'm seeing a gradient already with all these Beyblades. We're going down the list.
And then let's see. Does this have any good defense parts? We're not counting a spin gear since that's super common, so no. And then I think I know the best way to describe what type this is. As Think put it, truly terrible.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Now this next one's very interesting.
Voltaic
Very.
8.
I have an opinion about what type I think this
15
should be.
releases out.
Me too.
But
I
I'm
think we
definitely
agree with
curious
what it is.
what Red thinks about Voltaic Ape.
Well, it was in the anime, and
Red, take a look at this shape. What do you think about the shape of this thing?
It's tries to be a circle, but there seems to be some bumps.
Do you think it'd be good for, just looking at the shape, do you think it'd be good for defense?
No.
Well, you'd be right. I wouldn't say it's terrible for defense, but I also wouldn't really call it defensive. Honestly, I kind of thought you would say yes, because to me it looks very round and circular, especially in right spin.
Yeah.
But it is like surprisingly capable as an attack type. Like it's really good as an attack type, as a defense
The
type.
reason I said no is because I feel like we're going through like a pattern right now, and it's just like
Yeah, that's true.
with
I don't.
with how the attack rings are designed. So it's like
Yeah.
with how
Quite
It's very
unfortunate.
interesting, especially because if you look at it, thinking omnidirectionally, right? We can
Yeah.
go left spin with this. You would think that in left spin that it has better attack performance with like the front of the monkey's head hitting with the like eyeball part, but
Yeah.
it's actually not nearly as good as in right spin where the back of the head hits like a mountain, like a hammer. It's
Mountain
actually kind of
hammer.
insane how much it hits, despite almost 80% of the attack ring being made up of what is a good defensive shape.
is
These
super
perfect circles
compact.
with nice bumps. It's very compact.
Yeah.
It's got a good weight to it. But unfortunately, this is just one of those cases where you have all the things in the world to give you a defensive shape, but it just ends up being better as a different type. And I think you're going to see a lot more of those going forward as well. This has the Magna weight disc, which I would say is actually a very good weight disc for defense, as it has pretty good weight to it, and it has these plastic shells on the outside, which helps kind of like absorb a little more impact than a wide weight disc in certain contexts. I would actually say it's pretty decent.
I would say the biggest issue though is it just lacks weight. Like it's like 1 gram off, which you wouldn't think is much, but considering how light plastics are, 1 gram makes up like a lot more of the Beyblade than in other generations.
There's
So,
also
wow.
weight discs that are about the same weight but have better weight distribution, which helps a lot with defense, because it's not really about how heavy it is sometimes, but rather where that weight is placed.
Yeah, like it has defensive properties, but I wouldn't use it for defense really.
Yeah, it's not one of the better things. Although that being said, it is a little bit better when the shells come off, because it is a perfect circle at that point.
And I think let's just touch on the base real quick. It's not really too defensive. It is a metal sharp, as the name says, customized metal sharp. You can use support parts on it, which is also a new thing the V-Series introduced. This one happens to come with defense ring, which is fairly round, good for defense. It's pretty heavy as well. Like, it's nice, compact, heavy. It gives you good lad when you fall over.
I would say
yeah.
metal sharp is very good because the way it is designed, it is when it falls on its side, it's gonna hit the big red rim instead of the just falling over completely like other metal sharp tips have been at this point. Which is obviously it's gonna be less friction compared to the metal tip you're on. But since your primary contact point is the metal tip, you're going to have overall better stamina, but still maintain those defensive properties. So I would definitely say metal sharp base is a better defense tip than some, but it is still very much not a defense type.
It's definitely
base.
stamina.
It's absolutely stamina. It's just stamina with defensive traits to it. I think you should click back so we can see its support part that goes around customized metal sharp base, which is defense ring, which is definitely a very good part. It's on the previous page.
Yeah.
And you scroll
go
up a little
bit.
And there's the
defense
support
ring.
parts defense ring, which fits on the base around it. So this becomes essentially the outer part of it. And since it's so round and has that bumpy shape, it's absolutely bar none the best shape for defense. But it's also just in general just the best part overall for support parts, as it has good weight,
with the exception of like Trigger V2 for Trigger V2 specifically.
low recoil, good weight, a nice shape that helps stamina and defense. It's overall kind of one of those no-brainer parts, which is nice to have, but it also contextually there's really no base that can be used for like proper defense besides things that are going to be like essentially stamina in this generation. So I don't really think that this, like, it is a good part, but it's not like you can throw this on every single other defensive base that we've talked about so far that is good. So I don't think it actually has that much value as like a defense part, to be honest.
So do we think Voltaic Ape is a real defense type? I don't think it's a bad Beyblade, but I don't think it's a defense type personally.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's interesting because it's set up design-wise perfectly to be it, but every single part that it has, which they're all great and they're all competitive in some way, they are not good for defense. They're just good for stamina and attack.
I think defense ring we can put for defense. Like, I just put defense ring, like how we have 8 heavy for Tripio.
Yes, it is definitely the best,
Is there
but
a better
unfortunately,
type to describe the Bay?
I would
think-
say combination type because
Yeah.
of the way that it plays.
'Cause, like,
It's one of the better stock Beyblades for sure.
The AR is attack, and the base is down, which you think would work terribly together, but they do kind of work well together, surprisingly.
Sometimes
Anyway,
just having a
Beyblade.
bunch of really good parts together just makes the dish well worth it.
I think Spike Lizard's gonna be a quick one.
Now we're
Spike
taking,
Lizard is.
We're taking a little detour to Koro Koro. With Spike
Yep,
Lizard.
this one was released. It was the second Koro Koro design winner. So a kid designed this Beyblade. It is a Triceratops.
Oh, if only someone else were here for that.
It's a Triceratops, even though it's called Spike Lizard. It was supposed to be called. It was supposed to be called Triceria, I think, something like that. I
Something
believe.
like that, yeah. And actually, if you remember Roller Defensor from earlier,
Yeah.
it does have the same gimmick. If you want to scroll down, you might be able to see it better. Yeah, you can see those
More
orange
rollers.
It's got more of them though.
More.
Yeah. So obviously, this one being designed by a kid, it doesn't have really like. I mean, obviously, it's revised by Takara's designers to be something functional, but it is definitely not designed for defensive traits. As you can see, it's got it's very wide, first of all, very wide, and it has huge gaps underneath the attack ring where there's no rollers, making it incredibly vulnerable to recoil because a lot of things will get caught in those gaps, and that's
It's a
going to stop
very-
it versus the opponent.
It's a very unfortunate design because it just isn't good at. It's not like terrible at anything, but it also is not good at anything. Ooh, the weight disc. Yes, actually, I forgot about that. This is a very
Weight
important
disc is very important. This is like one of our only weight discs that is not wide defense. That is really good, and it's 10 heavy. It's the heaviest raw weight disc.
And this one is very special because
and
it
specifically
comes in a
this
green
one,
plate.
it has a green electroplating to it, which is very pretty. And the green electroplating does buff its weight a little bit. So yeah, very good weight disc. Obviously super good for our defense types, and its base is
It's like if you turned Roller Defensor into a base.
SG roller base. Is a semi-flat base with 2 big rollers, and every other part of it is just recoil laden and unfortunately really bad. Yeah, it's not very good. It's too tall. It's just, yeah, overall really bad, but very funny looking. I think we can just say this one's not a defense type. If anything, it's a balance type, just by virtue of it being on a semi-flat tip and kind of not doing anything very well. So I would say not a defense type. Obviously, it has a really good 10 heavy, which is very important.
I definitely say it has a good defense part in just that 10 heavy is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where every little gram counts in this generation, having that plating is really important. And it's also a cheap Beyblade that was very popular, so it's nice to have it.
Is there a better type to describe this Bay? I would be like, a kid drew it, but
I would say that it is a combination type. It's just
Okay, it's
bad.
equally bad at everything.
Yeah, it's pretty equally bad in everything.
Ugh.
But
Really?
it's still one of those Beyblades that you can launch and probably win a battle with, which is different from like Drasil V, where like
Yeah.
it's an uphill struggle, you know? So this one's a fringe case, but we
Yeah,
have Dark Drasil.
Next up, Dark Seal.
Dark
This one's
Seal.
pretty interesting. I think
this
this
one-
actually.
what does
only our
Arctic 7
second-
mean?
Random,
Random
Booster,
Booster
7.
7. This is only our second defense type to have a sub attack ring, right?
And I'm wrong because it says random booster 8 at the top. Yeah,
Oh.
let's
Good
go.
job. Good job.
So this one is technically not a real Beyblade. It is it is just a redeco of another Beyblade called Dark Dragoon. They're all exactly the same. They are from the terrible 2002 Beyblade movie, Fierce
Hey!
Battle.
Hey, that was a movie of all time featuring Yao White as a voice actor for her career.
It sure has an attack ring. So that's our second sub attack ring we see for defense types. But of course, like we said, it's supposed to be an attack type, I believe, from stock. So it has giant 3-sided contact points, and its sub attack ring is also same shape, just 3-sided. Its sub attack ring doesn't really do anything for it. It just kind of like is there, and the main attack ring is okay, but it's not very good either. So
the support part is like it's like a good thing, but it doesn't really. You can just use defense ring. It'll be better.
Survivor ring is good, but it's very fringely good on certain attack combinations and certain stamina combinations, not really for defense. So it doesn't really, it's not very good. And then its base is customized sharp base, which essentially is just sharp base, but I think a little bit taller, and it has a little more defined of a point, which is going to, again, be worse for stamina. But it can use defense ring, which is going to help it. But again, by stock, it doesn't have that. So
is it a real defense type? No.
It's not a defense type.
Does it have any parts for defense? No. What type do we think it is? Like, do we even think it's
It also doesn't even have a weight disc, because all of the weight discs were random for random boosters back in the day. So you literally do not have a stock weight disc for it. It's just a bad Beyblade in general.
Yeah, like the parts they work good, but not together. The base doesn't really work, but the AR, or you can use the AR.
Well, this Beyblade is very contentious.
Ooh, this one, personal favorite of mine. I love Drasil V2.
I love Drasil V2. It is definitely my favorite Drasil as well.
So beautiful.
The first one. Actually, Red, do you think, after the history of bad Drasils, do you think this one is the one that'll save Drasils with the shape?
I unironically do.
Well, unfortunately, it is one of the better Drasil ARs, but unfortunately not for defense, even in left spin. It is.
Unfortunately, it's just a very decent attack type.
Oh, of course.
Which is a better fate for a Drasil than what we've seen in the past few releases.
Which is nice.
It does come with 10 heavy, which means we automatically already have a good part for defense. Which is great to have. It does have, unfortunately, metal weight core, which is lighter than Magna Core. So that is unfortunate, just based on it. It could have had a better weight for its core. Hasbro did release it with the Magna Core, which is great, because that means that we actually do have some weight to it.
The support part, Fintector, I like it for attack, but defensively, no. The base, again.
Absolutely not. There are 2 modes for it. There's one where you can put the fins in the right spin direction to be kind of like blending into the opponent, essentially, where it'll just kind of like bump down to the next one, and that's its defensive mode. But honestly, you're just doing yourself less favors, and you should just be running it in the full-on attack mode, which it's just okay. Again, it's a nice little thing to have like synergy between the 2 parts. Even though synergy isn't real. And then we get to Switch Metal Ball Base, which honestly, I have to say is the worst Beyblade part ever released.
Jesus Christ, look at the design.
I truly think it is a miserable part. It does have support part compatibility, but its gimmick is that it can move the balls inward or outward. If you move them outward, at the end of the battle, you're going to fall over on these giant nubs, and you're going to stop spinning prematurely. If you move them inward, they're sticking right by your really poor ball-shaped tip, and you're just going to fall over even faster and do even worse. It's just the worst tip. Whoever designed this should not have a job ever again.
That's crazy.
I truly believe that, and I feel like they definitely fired that guy.
Okay, I mean, I think we can say this is not a real defense type. Definitely not. Does it have good parts? 10 heavy.
It does have 10 heavy.
Is there a better type? Describe this very like bad.
If anything, it's as a stock
'Cause
Beyblade, I
it's-
don't think it's good for anything, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate to say, but that base is truly so miserable that you can't use it for anything at all. Next
Yeah.
one's really interesting though. As a defense type, I feel like we're getting back into Bakushino territory.
13 releases after Rock Bison. Yeah.
So
We
what
do
are
have-
your opinions on what do you think Rock Bison is doing here?
I don't know. Makes me want to buy 50 of them. Honestly.
That's a great opinion.
I would
really
love to have
enjoy that
50 of them.
opinion.
I love 50 Rock Bisons. One day,
there's
one
a
day.
lot of contact points. That's for sure.
It sure do be pretty. It do be an oval. Classics loves these like ovals without any real contact points behind them.
Yeah, unfortunately, Double Horn is just kind of this really mediocre, not great attack ring. It is omnidirectional, and that's nice, I suppose, but it's just not the best laid out attack ring. I feel like, honestly, it's usable, but it's, again, an attack type attack ring. However, I will say, based on how Rock Bison is laid out, its attack ring is basically a suggestion. You're not going to be hitting with your attack ring nearly as much due to its
Yeah.
base, which is
Yeah, look, the base is what's really special here.
yeah, the base
If you wanna
is
scroll
very
down to
very
that.
interesting here. We have the normal base Rock Bison version, which plugs into its engine gear, which
I think
I
if
believe
you
it will be
scroll
linked
up-
on the other parts.
Yeah, if you actually, I guess if you just go back to the, or yeah, just scroll down, circle defensor. There it is.
Yeah, click down on Circle
There you go.
Defensor there. So basically this part will stick out of it. This is a really interesting part. So it's basically a huge free spinning tripio dish, but every single time it gets hit, the engine gear gets wound, and it's a giant dish with a flat tip. So there it is all assembled, and you're going to be hitting this primarily as your contact point. Now, the huge protrusions, due to the way it's laid out and how it's essentially fixed but free spin, it does hit more than, say, Cyber Dragoon's base, but it's not going to hit as hard or as poorly as it would if it were completely non-free spin, which is a positive. This Beyblade is very weird as a defense type. It definitely falls more into the category of that anti-attack thing that we saw early on. It is on a flat tip. It's mobile. It has a gimmick that gives it more stamina, and it doesn't really have any like actually defensive traits to it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, like I will say the base itself, like normal base Rock Bison, is good for defense on Circle Survivor because it's like a little bit bulkier, heavier. Just gives it a little bit more mass, but it's not a huge difference from like the stock Wolborg.
Yeah, it's really not like
Actually,
it's just not
the-
one of those Beyblades that like has like a huge
Engine gear-
defensive thing other than just some nubs sticking out as design. It doesn't really have anything defensive about it.
The engine gear itself is taller, which is good for Circle Survivor. So I feel like, is it a defense type itself? I don't think so.
No, it is not a real defense type by any means.
Does it have defense parts? I think we can say yes
does.
with like the
Its
weight
engine
disc
gear-
and the engine gear and the base.
Weight disc, engine gear, and its base are all very good for a defensive combination.
I feel like if we want to call it anything, I kind of feel like it's not a great attack type, but it does have an aggressive base. The attack ring, not great aggressively, but it can be
it's
used.
definitely gonna
aggressively.
be more like its game plan as a stock is gonna be to KO the opponent. You're not gonna
Yeah.
outspin in any capacity, which defense, even though it's made to withstand, its main goal to win is still to outspin an attack type specifically. And I think in that context, it's really poor. I think it's better just to use it as an attack type wholly.
Yeah, and now we move on to the last defense plastics Beyblade, which is Drasil G. Round of applause for Drasil
We
G.
have passed the 100 release mark. That's not
This
Drasil
thing
G.
actually,
Oh, that's the second Rock Bison.
The second out of the 50.
I do want to look at something else related to this after we go over this, but let's look at this thing. Certainly another Drasil AR.
Drasil, it's so beautiful.
It is a Drasil for sure.
One of the better Drasil attack rings, not honestly maybe defensively too, but it does. You're gonna be the game plan with this is use it aggressively. Defensively, it's not great. I wouldn't use it defensively. Weight disc, I think it has 10 heavy, right?
10
It
wide.
has
Oh.
10 wide.
Oh,
Which
That's
I think is
kinda
again one of
awful.
those things that is made to cover up contact points that are poorer. As the attack ring's like turtle head and paw section is really bad and is the problem with it versus like its giant like spikes. Its giant spikes on each end are actually pretty good. If it was completely all around, it might be an actually decent attack ring. But
Then-
the way it's set up, it needed that 10 wide just to not have it recoil off of everything, which at least I'm thankful for. The base here is actually pretty good. This is one of the few engine gear bases that are like very unique. And this one is not just unique by shape, but it actually has 2 little tiny extra metal balls in it, which does add extra weight, which is nice.
Yeah. And then something else I want to take a look at. I have it linked, Red. If you want to click on that link, is the RC Drasil G base. This is exclusive to Hasbro's Drasil G RC Beyblade. It is the heaviest base. It is unfortunately not legal, but I have it linked if you want to click on it, Red.
We do need to talk about its engine gear.
Yeah, this thing, it is the heaviest base, even heavier than like SG metal ball base with a heavy metal core and everything.
Wow.
Unfortunately not legal, but defensively, I mean, it's heavy, which is kind of what defense wants.
Of course.
Yeah, it definitely just weight bullies everything in the format, which is why it is banned. It has so if we want to take a look, it has the right engine gear metal ball, which is one of the few unique tipped engine gears that are not customized versions. This one has a metal ball to it. Overall, I think this is actually a pretty decent part. Within context of how it is, I actually think that because of the way that engine gear bases are laid out, despite Drasil G's base being one of the lighter ones, despite the metal balls and it having 10 wide, because of the way its attack ring is situated and having 10 wide to cover up its bad contact points, I would actually say that Drasil G is a decent defense type just based on its shape and how it plays. It has less recoil from a bad engine gear base than some of the previous Drasil attack rings just being so miserable. And since its attack ring is heavy but not going to be the primary contact for anything other than other tall Beyblades, I think it's a lot better than previous Drasils.
I think we can put this as a kinda. Like, I don't.
It's definitely not the best, but it's following Drasil ideology, but I feel like all of the engine gear aspects ended up making it more actually performative as a defense type versus what they intended it to be. They intended it to be a Drasil, but because of the way engine gear is set up, it ended up being a better defense type than what a Drasil is, which is truly terrible.
Tragic.
Yeah.
A tragic fate.
So definitely it's a kinda. It has
Having parts for defense.
the engine gear is something.
Would you use it for defense though? Like if you weren't forced to run stock or CLG, would you even consider it for defense?
That is a great question. I feel like at the time though, at the time of release,
At the time this end.
yes, but you have to keep in mind that when we're talking engine gears, our best option is metal grip on Zeus shaft, right? And I feel like honestly that metal ball is, being a calm design, honestly, is not the worst one to have if we're talking generic engine gears, and it
But
is a little bit heavier.
for an engine gear though, which is a very low bar, like overall I don't know if we can really call this defense.
I do believe
Any of
that
the parts.
Wolfborg 4 came out pretty soon after anyways, so it's kind of moot. And
Yeah,
at this
I mean,
point also there's so many better defense options that even coping with it, it doesn't really have a real defense thing. And I would just say as a type, it's just
K defense stock.
yeah, it's just okay. It's okay. Like it's
Boy.
kind of defense.
Yeah, that is the end of plastics. Now we move on to HMS, the final system of the Bakuten shoot generation.
Let's go.
Oh Lord. What a way to start one of the first 3 releases, Drasil MS. Oh
Let's
my.
take a look at it.
Oh my. Drasil MS, you are something else. So Drasil MS has Drasil F's attack ring. Again, just now 4 of them are metal. And it has a very good weight disc, which is circle wide. And it's
This one's
a
actually
specifically
special.
heavier mold, which is very nice to have. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, its attack ring being a Drasil attack ring, it's still miserable. And its core is sharp core, which actually does have a sharp tip this time. And it's
means it's extra
truly
bad.
miserable. It's super tall, super easy to get under. So even though it has a heavy weight disc that's wide, which is going to give it better stamina, because of that attack ring being so bad, it's going to just do absolutely nothing. This is another one of those cases where the Beyblade is just unusable, like as an actual like Beyblade you can use.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
don't think it. I don't
Is it
think
a real
it's
defense
worth.
type? No.
I don't think it's
Actually,
a real
let me-
defense type.
Let me put absolutely no.
I would say
Um,
its weight disc is.
Yeah.
It can be used for defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably
especially
not
since
what
it's
you'd want to
heavier.
use for defense in this generation, but if you had to, you could.
Yeah.
And
And
then it's just bad. It's just bad.
Truly terrible.
Yeah. Our
Ooh,
next
this one's
one
a very
is
interesting one.
our next one's super interesting. I feel like
RBA2. Random booster something 2?
Act
Random
2.
Booster Act 2. Yeah, instead of numbers, they were in acts.
Huh.
So it's Act 1 through 5.
The AR looks kind of cool though.
The attack ring is very, very cool. This is Sea Dragon or Sea Drake from Hasbro. It is a seahorse themed Beyblade.
It's a very interesting design. Defensively, I I don't know if I'd use the AR defensively, but it is a very good attack AR.
So it does have a metal ball running core like Drasil F had, and that is nice for weight. However, again, in this generation, especially at the point it's released, we already have rubber flat attack, and it has very little friction, and it doesn't even have grease anymore. So, honestly, I would say that it's pretty bad as a defensive stock, but it does have defense ring CWD, which is one of the best defense options. And
Yeah,
free
pretty
defense ring is
heavy.
also apparently
The
pretty
heaviest.
decent. Even though I don't
So-
think it's like the super best option, it's still heavy, which I would say is definitely defensive traits.
Is it a real
Um,
defense type?
And I would say
I would
that
say
in
no.
right spin, Sea Dragon is not, it's too attack based. I think if anything, it's a balance type. I would say it's
Yeah,
a
I think
balance type.
it has good defense parts
Combo
with
type.
CW.
Sorry, combo.
Yeah, sorry, combination. Let me
Yeah,
write that.
combination type for sure.
Advanced Guardian. This one actually is going to
This
be
one
interesting for
is
defense.
very defense pilled. I will
If
say.
you remember, if you take a look at it, what Beyblade does it remind you of?
Oh my god. Lucille?
Definitely. Uh, we are back to roller defensor. We have big metal rollers now. And it has the circle heavyweight disc, which is the heavy one of the initial 3 weight discs.
I can't believe they reinvented the
And
wheel.
we also have the hot dog. The hot dog is back. We have grip sharp core.
Welcome back, Seaboard. Except this time you can't invert it, so it is purely defense.
I would say this is a pure defense type. This is very
Yeah,
clearly
I would say very
a
defense
good-
filled. Is it a real defense type? Absolutely.
It's a pure defense type. It has good parts to it, and I would say it's definitely decent. Like
Yeah.
there's.
Would I
it's-
describe it as anything else? No. It is probably the best defense type we've had so far.
If it survives the atomic nukes that are all of the attack types in HMS, it can definitely outspin them. So, I wouldn't say it's terrible at all.
Yeah, I
As
definitely.
a stock, pretty good. Round Shell MS.
This one, it certainly has a gimmick for defense. I wouldn't say.
So, Turtle Crusher, I would say is pretty decent.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that ends up being a little more attack than not. Which Dan goes over in his article there. It says, had the gap not been so prominent, this thick plastic jutting out, it would have been a good choice for defense. But in the current state, there's no doubt it is going to be performing as a attack setup, which is very true, unfortunately. It's one of those things where, it's a perfect circle, but because of the side profile, you just realize it's more of an attack type, if anything, which is pretty unfortunate. Now it's rotary core. Basically turns it into a literal bay wheel, which it was the original one before anything. And it even came with a little launcher that let you launch it sideways and roll it down the road, which is very fun. As an actual defensive thing, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the rubber is good for absorbing hits, but it's also...
It's also one of those things that you have to run it in, like, first of all, its stamina is abysmal. Second of all, it needs to really be run in opposite spin, which is very hard to do in this format. So
yeah, especially because like everything is dual spin. You don't even need a spin gear for it. You can just put the launcher on a different way, and it'll spin whichever direction. So you can change it up like each round.
yeah,
I mean, do we think this thing is a real defense type? Not really. I don't think so. What do you think?
I see. I honestly want to say that it is
wanna put
not a
kinda?
real defense type,
Okay, yeah.
because just the attack ring and the way it actually performs is not really like
Does it?
that great.
Doesn't really have any beat parts for defense. Like the RC kinda as like a meme, but not really. Is there a better type for it? I guess not really. Like I probably would describe it.
Wheel.
I guess... What?
I would
Wheel.
just say it's a wheel type, bro.
A wheel.
It's a bay
That's
wheel.
true. Actually, shoot, what are the bay wheels? Speed type. I think that's a bay wheel type. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, let's
And
go with that.
the very last Beyblade of the generation. Give it up for the HMS version of Tripio, Aero Knight MS.
Yes, definitely
Oh.
definitely a weird one. So its attack ring is the same exact metal frame as the previous one. So it's literally reusing the same exact metal part as the one we just looked at. But it is a more aggressive shape, and it's pretty heavy. So honestly, I think it's definitely an attack type. But due to the way that this one's set up, as you scroll down, you'll realize that it's not going to be making contact with that attack ring anyways. It is on a giant super tall running core, which has a Tripio disc attached to it. This is a very, very funny
It's a
and
fashion
weird
statement,
Beyblade. Just by the fact of it having like this huge giant disc, it's set up essentially the same way, a little bit better than the original Tripio, but it's super low to the ground, which makes it stop spinning almost immediately. However, that being said, we did see a few years ago a factory sample leak of a Hasbro version, which did not include
True.
the disc at all. So technically, it is legal to use the aero core without the wing part. And if you put just that core on by itself, it's a very, very tall, core, which I would say is better for stamina, if anything. But
Yeah,
the fact
similar
that
to
it is
the
mitigating
jumping
how much
RC.
contact you can make is a defensive trait. You don't want to be hit as much for sure. It's a compact thing, right? It's
Yeah.
objectively harder to hit, but again, in HMS where everything is super attack focused, it's really not going to perform as a defense type. And plus, also, we would be going off of its performance based on what would happen if Hasbro released it. So,
So, is it a real defense type?
no.
Unfortunately, our final defense type of the generation is not a real defense type. Does it have good defense type parts?
No, not really.
Nope.
What would we, like, you could describe it as stamina, I guess? Just like
Well,
sit on top of people, grind
What
them
type
to
to
death.
describe this bay? Hello, metal fight.
Yeah, exactly. Onto the
Well,
onto the next
actually,
generation.
I think we should save the metal fight for the next episode. This is getting pretty long. I think we should maybe do each generation an episode, and then burst is gonna be a long one, but
Burst is gonna be a long one.
We got so much. How is there
I think-
so many in Burst, man?
that's what 7 years of Beyblade of a generational duty is.
7 years of slop.
No,
True.
you can't say
True.
that about my
It's true. It's
gen.
true.
No,
Maybe-
it's not. I
maybe
will.
we'll get-
I will be.
Maybe
Save it
we'll
for the
get
next
bears
episode. Save it for the
next
episode, bro.
I will be in charge of burst, bro.
Maybe we'll get bears for the next
Maybe
episode.
we
Yeah,
gotta-
yeah, we
man.
kind of have to have bears
Yeah,
here.
we gotta get some guest people
But-
in the friend group.
I mean, you just want to show off our final list for Bakuten Shoot.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that gradient map. Look at that gradient map, man.
I think
A lot of them
overall
do
we
have
can
Good
we can
defense parts. It's just stocks
would
are not good.
yeah, it's one of those things where they tried to push this concept that recoil was how defense Beyblade should be played, and we're gonna see this later on with X, as that's essentially the same design philosophy that they're trying to go for in
Yeah.
the current day, and it just doesn't work, guys. It just doesn't work.
Nope.
It's not a real thing to use recoil as a means for defense. You want things to be small, compact, and heavy, and if you lack one of those traits, but you have the other two, oftentimes it's not enough to win the match.
Yeah, I think of the entire generation, we really only have one defense type that I'd say is truly successful, which, funnily enough, is Advanced Guardian, which doesn't really even have a motif. It's just kind of like a basic thing that just represents defense type, which I guess that is pretty fitting. The representative defense
yeah.
type is the best.
And it's
defense type.
ironic too, because it's in a generation where defense functionally can't exist because attack
Yeah.
is so overpowered. So realistically, our best option here is probably roller defensor, ironically, just due to the fact that its attack ring and its height are set up in a way that makes it like decent and it doesn't like absolutely get nuked by everything somehow, which is really funny.
Yeah. Oh boy. Plastics. Yeah. Truly a generation.
Plastics walk, so.
So Metal Fight could stumble.
Defense is somewhere out there.
And then Burst. Truly the running generation.
You know, if you think about
I
it,
love Burst.
defense type Beyblades is kind of like Bigfoot. You know, they're hard to find.
They really are. They really are because, guys, I'm starting to think based on all these red answers we have, maybe they don't know what defense is.
Maybe I think
I think
Well,
they
I
know
wanna
what
take a
attack
quick
is. I'm pretty sure they're big
I
attack
want to take a
fans.
quick peek at Metal Fight. Metal Fight's not looking any better. Jesus Christ, Metal Fight's looking worse if anything.
Yeah, it's not
No
looking
fight.
good from here on, guys.
I think Burst is definitely gonna save us for sure.
Burst
Jesus
is ironically probably what people call the stamina generation. It might be the defense generation.
The
Yeah.
slop generation.
Anyway, we'll get more into depth on that on the next podcast
Course,
episodes.
of
Make sure to join
course.
us for that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
make sure
that is going
make
to be
sure
the
to
end.
sign up for
here.
our Patreon. Make sure to sign up for our
Follow our socials.
our Ko-fi. Make sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook group, our Facebook fan page, our
Blue Sky.
Reddit, our subreddit run by our fans called Gyroscorpic Sports The Truth. Make sure you follow us on Candid. Make sure you follow us on
Tumblr.
Website.
Twitch. Make sure you follow us on two channel.
And if this video gets 2 likes, we will drop the next episode soon.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Red, as the host, do you want to outro us for this episode?
You know what? Sure. Thank you guys for watching, and we will be ripping it hard the next episode as well.
Woo, middle fight!